and welcome to the Talk with Tariro. Over the past week or so, we've had a lot of talk, particularly on social media, a lot of noise being passed on the issue of the marriages law. So the key question that we want really to ask, is it new? What's really happening? Is what we are seeing on social media, what's actually the real situation, with a lot of people now talking about we have legalized small houses. Being a first wife is now a disadvantage. But today we decided to have the legal minds to come and unpack that for us, considering the noise and furore that this has caused. And we have on the program Fadzai Traquino. She is the Director of Women and Law in Southern Africa. Fadzai, welcome to the talk.
Thank you, Tariro.
Yes. What we want to find out from you, maybe just start off by unpacking for us this marriages law. Why this noise now?
Well, maybe what is important for us to understand is that government has been going through an exercise to align a lot of our laws to the new constitution which came about 2013. And we know that one of the things that the new constitution brought about rights of women and children that were not previously in the Lancaster House Constitution. So when you look at Section 26 of the Constitution, it provides new rights, or rather it re-emphasizes the protection of women's rights when it comes to marriage. And one of the things is that children cannot be pledged into marriage. There shall not be any marriage between a person with someone who's below the age of 18 years. It also brings about equality of rights in marriage when it comes to responsibilities and obligation in marriage. It also looks at the protection and equality of these rights, even at dissolution of marriage, whether upon divorce or upon death. So what the New Marriages Act is precisely bringing in is the protection of these rights by ensuring that whatever choice of marriage you make, these rights are applicable to everyone. So in other words, what it is saying is that there shall be no marriage that is superior in terms of rights to any other. What it is simply giving to us is a choice of marriage, because Zimbabweans are diverse in terms of race, in terms of ethnicity, in terms of religion. So it is actually just simply saying what we previously had in the previous regime, where we had one type of marriage that appeared superior in terms of the rights that you have, it's no longer there. Despite the choice of marriage that you have, the law is able to protect you.
You went on to say there is no marriage now that's superior. What it then says, maybe unpack for us the different marriages. Then I'll go to my next question.
Okay, so the different types of marriages that are presented by the New Marriages Act, now Chapter 15, it is harmonizing.
It's now Chapter 15.
It's now Chapter 515. So previously we had two types of marriage laws that we're bringing into regimes in marriages. Now, whatever choice of marriage you make, you now find it under one particular law. So there shall not be that confusion to say, I'm under this chapter 37 or 515 or 511 or chapter 508. So you find that the new marriage laws brings in three types of marriages. The first marriage is the popular one that was under chapter 511. Civil marriage, which is a monogamous marriage. Monogamous meaning one husband, one wife. And this one is not a polygamous marriage. It simply is a civil marriage between one wife, one husband. Then I'll quickly say, a lot of people have been asking to say, so what does it mean? Does it mean it can coexist with another marriage? The law is very clear to say, because it is a monogamous marriage, it cannot coexist with another marriage, which means if you want to sue for adultery damages, I would assume it would still be applicable, because that is what the choice you would have made. The other type of marriage that is recognized by the new law is a registered customary marriage. By registered, what the law is saying is that once the law has been passed, which it was already passed in May, if you are saying, I want lobola paid, you are still allowed to do that, and the law is recognizing the customary values that should be recognized and that Africans value. So you can actually pay lobola and enter into this marriage. The only thing that it is requiring is that within 3 months of having done all your customary rights according to your own culture, you are supposed to then register formally with the marriage officer. In this case, if it is a registered customary marriage, your nearest magistrate court, or if you are not near a magistrate court, you see your traditional leader. So the chiefs are now being given extra powers now to register customary marriages. And when you register these customary marriages, questions related to the customary rights shall be asked. Have you paid lobola and so forth? Because this has to be recorded. Then they are also going to request that in the presence of this registration of this customary marriage, there should be 2 family witnesses from your primary families. So because questions are going to be asked related to whether these witnesses are coming from the primary family. I feel that it would be an advantage to women.
So how different is it with 511? Because there is that registration again.
The difference is that with the civil marriage, there is no application of lobola payment. It is not compulsory to pay lobola if your choice of marriage is the civil monogamous marriage. So this allows any race, any ethnicity, any person to be able to enter into that civil marriage. Because
in Zim?
Yes.
Really?
Because remember, we are of a diverse society.
Okay.
Some people do not really have that customary application. Then for us Africans that value lobola, we might want to fall into the bracket of the registered customary marriages. So you are still being given a document to say you have registered your marriage and it is recognized by the law.
Is that document a marriage certificate?
It is not per se a marriage certificate. It is just a registration.
A confirmation.
A confirmation that lobola has been paid and these people shall be recognized by the law as married. The only difference with the registered customary marriage, unlike the civil marriage, is that it is a potentially polygamous marriage. It is recognized the customary values of Africans, that there are also Africans or other cultures that would want to register a marriage, pay lobola, but allow the husband to marry other wives. So it is still giving you that option.
Well, we will continue with our discussion where we have the director from Women in Law in Southern Africa unpacking for us this marriage's law. After the break, we want to find out, so where is this noise coming from? Join us after the break. Welcome back as we continue with our discussion where we are discussing the marriages law. Fadzai, you said this law was passed in May?
Yes, May 2022.
2022.
Yes.
And now we are in August. We're actually in September now. So why the noise now when it was passed like in May? What has changed?
I guess it's mainly because there is now a lot of awareness happening around this particular law. But this is not to say the parliamentary process was not done. There was a lot of consultations across the country wide, across different sectors, when Parliament was consulting citizens of Zimbabwe to say what do they want contained in this particular law. But going to why it has raised a lot of issues, I want to say we've spoken about the civil marriage, and I'll repeat, one man, one husband. We've spoken about the registered customary marriage, which makes it compulsory for the payment of lobola,
Lobola, yes.
but can be registered even by your traditional leader. The law also recognizes the unregistered customary law union. This one has always been there, where people would just pay lobola, but they don't register. But what the law is saying, you have to register your unregistered customary law union within 12 months of the law.
Yeah.
If you are doing it now, when the law is passed, you have to at least have done it within 3 months after payment of lobola. Then the bone of contention, where a lot of people are getting confused, is the new or introduction of what is called a C4 partnership. So the C4 partnership is what we've always already recognized as cohabitation.
Yeah.
It's not a new thing in Zimbabwe. It's only that the law did not formally recognize cohabitation. You could not go to the court and say, I am cohabiting with so and so, so I am
cohabiting ndokubika mapoto.
Cohabiting, yes, ndokubika mapoto. It's just a man and a woman who are aged 18 years and above staying together in a purely domestic relationship. That is what the law says. They could be interaction sexually, they could even have children, they could even be financially dependent on each other and acquiring assets together. So what the law is now formally recognizing is this cohabitation relationship. And the law is now saying these people need also to be protected by the law. Because what has tended to happen is that when they separate and want to dissolve or come out of this cohabitation relationship, the law was not recognizing them. And therefore, there was no protection in terms of their rights in sharing
protection
property.
of the woman.
Yeah, particularly for women. I would think this is where the issue comes.
Yeah.
So when you now want to separate from this man, would the law recognize that you were actually cohabiting with him? What happens to the property that you acquired with him? Who gets what? So the law is now saying the Matrimonial Causes Act that applies to other types of marriages that we talked about can now actually be used to dissolve a cohabitation relationship. So once the law is satisfied that you are living together in a purely domestic relationship, although no lobola was paid, there is no registration of the marriage, really you are not a marriage, but you are just really interacting together in this relationship, the law can now actually help you to share property that you acquired. Let me go to the bone of contention.
Yes.
The bone of contention is this clause that has been inserted in the law which says the civil partnership shall now be recognized even where another marriage exists, which means that even where one of the partners entered into the civil marriage or was in a registered customary marriage, if this other partner is entered into a cohabitation relationship with another partner, that does not remove the fact that this cohabitation would not be recognized by law. So we have actually introduced a third person, especially for those that were in civil marriages who did not want a polygamous relationship. This is where the conflict is coming. To say, I did not want to enter into a polygamous or a potentially polygamous marriage. That's why I made a choice to enter into a civil marriage. So why should the law recognize that my partner entered into a cohabitation relationship?
And is it not a crime now when that is that, like that now? So can I sue? Can I what? I think that's what people really want to know. And the fact that, okay, you have a husband, you are acquiring all your properties, and then there's this other person, one person dies there, then you are seeing this person coming in, and then the law actually recognizes that this person was there, and in terms of sharing whatever is there, this person is now being allocated.
So let me clarify that, and I think maybe that's where the misinformation is. The cohabitation relationship is only being recognized for the purpose of sharing of property or of dissolution of these two people when they decide to separate the two of them. This is where the law is saying we need to step in and bring in fairness in who gets what when they separate. So as long as you are alive and you decide to separate, the law is coming in to help you to separate and bring in fairness in terms of sharing of property. And what the law goes on further to state is that the law shall also try to ensure that this cohabitation does not stretch its hands to affect the property acquired by the first marriage. So they'll try and make a distinction of whose property it is.
Okay.
So that the other person who was in a civil marriage or the other marriage was not
part of
this cohabitation, their property rights are not affected. The second point of clarity is that cohabitation is not being recognized in the event of a death.
We will continue with our discussion after the break. It's really, really controversial. It's raising a lot of issues. But what she is saying is cohabitation then is not recognized after death. My next question, when we come back after the break, is can I go and claim as a partner as well? When my partner is gone to cohabit with somebody using our own proceeds, can I go and claim? Join us after the break. Welcome back. We continue with our discussion where we are really tackling the issue that is wreaking havoc on all platforms in our country, the issue of the marriages law. So Fadzai, as a wife, I know my husband is this side. Can I go and try and claim whatever he has acquired with this other person? We've got a civil marriage where I had opted to say I want a monogamous marriage, and then I discover there is this other person cohabiting with my husband.
And I think this is where the circus is going to happen and unfold. Because in trying to separate properties to say this belongs to the actual wife and this one belongs to the civil partnership or the cohabitation relationship, we know that the way that we stay as people sometimes, it's not very clear-cut whose property belongs to who. And a lot of times women can be hoodwinked because Tariro could be in the UK or in South Africa working. The cohabitation partner is brought to Tariro's house and they are being hoodwinked to say, this is the house that I've also acquired for you. So when dispute arises, it may actually mean that the first wife, if she's courageous enough, might actually have to descend into the arena to declare that this property I contributed. Can the cohabitation person also bring a proof to say what is it that she also did? The same, similar also, in the same manner, the civil partner, if they feel that they've been deprived because this man is stating that property X belonged to him and his first wife and not in the cohabitation relationship, it may actually mean that those people shall have to come in and defend their rights. So I see a lot of drama is going to unfold in the courts, and the court is going to be inundated with these cases of people fighting each other around property. So we are also waiting to see if there's going to be any case that is going to be brought before the courts and how the court is going to make this distinction. One of the things I've also noted is you know, with Zimbabweans, we have distinctions around property in urban areas. I'm living in Borodale. This is my matrimonial home. But we also have acquired farms and land. I could be having a business enterprise on X farm. And what we've also noted in a lot of cases that are brought to our offices, maybe the cohabitation partner is not brought to the matrimonial home, but they are taken to X farm, which also X farm, the wife is also saying it's part of my enterprise. So unknowingly, these two people are investing in one enterprise. And this is where the mess and the circumstances that the court are going to have to make distinctions on who actually owns this property. And I think a lot of evidence around how your relationship was, who was doing what, within which type of relationship is also going to have to be considered. So again, I want to say to women, I think we have to be wise. You cannot claim to own property where your name is not there. Property ownership in Zimbabwe, even if you are married, we are distinct parties. The property has always been distributed according to his, hers, and what is ours. What we jointly owned, where Tariro's name is, Fadzai's name is, that is joint ownership. So this delusion sometimes that we have to say, I own a property where your name is not there, is going to be a huge issue. And this is where people need to exercise wisdom. Are you really an owner of this matrimonial property? Just because you are staying in it doesn't mean you own it.
A lot of women, Fadzai, in Zim, actually their names are not on the title deeds. It's the husband usually who's got that name, and we claim this is our house, I've got shares on it. So how best can that be addressed? Particularly now with this law, where then maybe there's the husband's name. If he dies, can that person who was cohabiting and myself, we had a civil marriage, can we then claim something on a husband who has died? The two of us were there and there.
So the civil partnership at the moment, in terms of what is written in the law, is not yet recognized when it comes to deceased estates.
Okay.
But I would assume if there are children that have been born out of the civil cohabitation relationship, those children will be protected by the law to inherit from the estate of their father. But the woman may not be protected to go and claim property. So maybe just for that particular clarity. But I want to assume with the way that the law is not very clear, we are going to find a lot of cases trying to actually take it further into inheritance. Because if you have already recognized me in terms of dissolution, why can you not recognize me when it comes to death?
Exactly.
Because Section 26 of the Constitution is clear that spouses need to be given equal protection of rights, both at dissolution, in terms of divorce, in separation, and also upon death. So I can already see the conflict in terms of the law there. And I'm sure a lot of cases are going to be brought before the courts to try and rectify that.
So this clause, was it clandestinely inserted? Were women aware, or we contributed to it for it to be like that?
Like I said earlier, there was a parliamentary consultative process that went throughout the country, various stakeholders, even the traditional leaders, including the churches, were consulted around these. Ordinary citizens were consulted. But what I find a lot of times when Parliament goes out to consult, people don't attend these meetings. It's like, it's another government process taking our time. But it's very important that we participate in things that affect us, because when the law is now drafted, we cannot now not argue to say we didn't know this is what you were going to put, because whoever attends the meeting says their views and their thoughts, and they are captured and written down into law. So what I think at the moment is that we are going to have to see how the law is going to be interpreted when things unfold in the courts.
Okay, in 30 seconds, what is your message to Zimbabweans regarding the marriage law?
I would want to say that although there are a lot of things that we may not be happy about, there are also a lot of good things, like the fact that the law prohibits child marriages, and the fact that no one can now enter into a marriage if you are below the age of 18 years. The fact that women and men are being given equal rights and protection before the law, it's also a good thing. I would also want to say, when we approach the law sometimes on purely a moral ground, we also forget that if you actually look at your relationship, you might find yourself being one of those in the cohabitation relationship. So we have to also look at it in that manner to say how many women are actually going to be protected by the law. And
indeed, like what Fadzai is saying, the new, it's not new, the marriage is law we all contributed. And a lesson that we should actually learn as a nation is to say when these consultative processes are being done, when parliamentary portfolio committees are coming into our areas, it's important that we participate, we contribute. And what Fadzai has emphasized is when we are looking at this law, there might be issues where we might not be happy, but overall, it is actually good for us as a country. And my message to us is, let's continue reading around it. Let's continue interrogating it. And if need be that we need to bring them back again to clarify some of the issues, we will definitely do that. Until we meet again next week, it's goodbye.